Yes, people, what is going on? We are back once again for Palace news. And of course, there is no positive news coming out of Palace because it seems like, as I mentioned yesterday, the kitchen is burning, but we are approaching the point of where the house might be burning soon because every day something new. And this time it's on Mateta, which we're going to be discussing. Plus, there's an update on the striker situation as well as a potential another outgoing, but don't worry, it's no one of significant value. So, as always, before we do get started, like, subscribe, and get involved in the comment section. Thank you to every single one of you. In the recent videos, we've been killing it with the likes and also the comments as well. And I'm joined by Nosa. Nosa, it's been a while. It's been a while. Of course, you've been busy as well. It feels like the return of Ismail Assar. Like, I can't remember the last time we spoke where Ismail Assar, before he left the club, was in the League Cup, was in the FA Cup, was doing well in the Premier League. And then a month later, look where we are. But how you feeling?
I'm good. But we're coming with success. So like how Sarr came with success with the AFCON. So we're gonna come back with good things.
Hopefully, right now, it's not really looking good. Well, it depends on how you perceive this news, but let's get into it. And that is with Jean-Philippe Mateta. According to Fabrizio Romano, his camp have informed Crystal Palace about the desire to leave the club, and Ben Jacobs has also added to this, confirming that. And Alex Howe, who used to work at Palace and now is at BBC, has said the following, that Mateta is disappointed with promises made in terms of new contract, recruitment, and ambition. Where I stand with this is, especially with the last part, I think the contract situation, clearly the club don't want to mess the structure within, especially paying big amounts of money for players over 30 years old. I'm pretty sure he wants a long-term contract. He feels like he's deserved it. And I understand his point, but we've been there in the past, given long-term contracts to players over 30. So the club aren't willing to do that. And recruitment and ambition, there's nothing to blame there in terms of how we feel as fans, how Mateta might feel, and a few other players, because we haven't really built the squad to push on. However, I am not buying, me personally, I'm curious to hear what you lot think as well. I'm not buying into this PR. Recruitment and ambition, it might not be there, but you don't have to cause a fuss to leave in January transfer window. I think his head is turned. I think his head is turned after Juventus were after him, and now Aston Villa. And that's why now he's expressing his desire. His agent has been working overtime anyways for a while, for the past year or so, ever since the contract talks have started. But there is no need for this. You might not be happy with ambition or recruitment, but Gahey probably wasn't. And he was literally on the verge of going to Liverpool in the summer. He put his head down and then got his move to City in January. And I made the video and a lot of people agreed with me. I was very happy with how he conducted himself. And as they didn't really cause a fuss, and we decided to sell him. But what JP is doing here is causing a fuss and using recruitment and ambition as an excuse to deflect onto the owners, which I 100%, as I said, I agree. I don't know what you think, Nosa, but I think he's just trying to get an easy way out whilst protecting his own brand. I don't understand what is the fuss, because I think he was going to get, I am 90% sure he was going to get sold in the summer anyways. So whilst the club is literally having multiple problems, he's adding onto it. And I just don't respect that.
Me personally, I think I agree with you on most points what you said. I personally feel like the one issue that I don't like players doing is forcing out a move in the January window. I don't really get that, because of course he's not scoring the most amount of goals we know he can, but him trying to force a move in January when everyone's aware that he was probably going to leave in the summer, it highlights a bit of a question mark. Maybe because it's a World Cup year. It is a World Cup year and his place is at jeopardy. There's multiple French strikers, but I think the ethos and how players want to leave clubs now, it's not really a thing that I support. Like, we saw Wissa doing it. We saw Isak doing it in the summer as well. And Mateta, I didn't really expect this from Mateta. How do you think like the dynamic of the dressing room would be based on how there's multiple players leaving, the manager even doing the similar thing as well?
Yeah, I think the dressing room, I would love to be in it to figure out, but I think heads will be down. Like right now, despite us not being in a bad position in the league and also the Conference League, we're still in that competition as well. What happened with Gahey, then Glasner, now Mateta? There's just too much drama. There's too much drama to focus on what's going on in the pitch. And I don't think what Mateta's doing here is fair. I never heard or saw from any stories about Gahey pushing for a move in January. I never heard that. You know, he was open. If a deal comes through, if Palace are happy with it, then he will look at the deal. And if it benefits him, he'll go. Why? Because it's a World Cup year. He's the captain of Palace. He's fine with leaving in the summer for free, or he's fine playing for Palace and giving his all, which he has done from whenever he's been linked to a move away. Never cause a fuss. I understand the World Cup point, but surely you should be putting your head down. You know you're going to start here week in, week out. Put your head down. And JP, of course, he's scored some very big goals for this club, but it's not like he's been consistently amazing for us. The first couple of years, he wasn't at that levels. And then, of course, he reached that level. And now, as soon as he's got his peak, which I understand because he's 28 years old and has always had a desire to move on. He said that in 2021 and how, you know, he was looking at Palace basically as a stepping stone. But it's just the timing. The timing I don't respect. And if you don't want to be here, personally, for me, if you don't want to be here, go. As long as we can get the money, just go. I'm not worried about JP leaving. I don't want people to be here that's going to be causing a fuss. I don't think Walton wants to be here. I don't think Munoz wants to be here. I think Lacroix is probably looking at the same situation. But we're not hearing the similar stories for those players. They're not causing a fuss. They're not going to the media with his agent talking rubbish. I think his head has turned from Juventus and also Aston Villa now. And now he's pushing for a move. I just don't respect that at all. I just don't. Not in this current moment of time. And he was always going to go in the summer. So for me, if you don't want to be here, you can go. I don't know how much of a miss he'll be because he's been missing a lot of chances in front of goal. And in terms of people being worried about replacements, I would bring in Strand Larsen. You know, he seemed like a good option. But also, this is on the football club. The football club is here to blame as well. It's not just the manager. It's not just the player. Everyone is involved there. Because as long as they've got a replacement lined up, which they should do, because this is not new news. Yes, he wants to, maybe he's pushing for a move right now, but we've known about his contract situation for the past year or so. They should be working on replacements. So a competent enough football club who's in the Premier League for over 10 years now, that's won the FA Cup, playing in Europe, should have replacement strikers lined up in their shortlist, which they can work towards. Now, the price tag is the key element. I don't know how much you value him, but I don't realistically see Aston Villa paying close to £40 million. I don't think they can afford to pay that based on their financial struggles. And also Juventus clearly wasn't willing to do that. So what happens now?
I think I agree with you. The club needs to look within because in the summer we could have gotten more recruitments because we all knew that JP was probably going to leave in a season or so. Like there was talks about him leaving in the summer. And allegedly his ambitions were to go and play in Italy. That allegedly, like I said. So obviously he's got the rumors with Juventus, which is a top club. You can't deny it. However, if he leaves, what's the climate of the attacking options now? Nketiah's injured. Glasner, in as much as he's leaving, he doesn't fancy Uche. Are we going to play Son the 9? Are we going to play Son the 9? Yeah. We're going to get a Cherif that's 18, 19 years old that has even got as many game time as Canvo did as when he left Ligue 1. It's looking sticky, man. It's looking sticky. And from just a fan perspective, this is a situation what Glasner's obviously annoyed about because a player's gone, but then we're getting a player that's 18 years old based on potential, and because other teams are suitors for him as well. It's ridiculous. I'll be honest with you. I don't blame Mateta for leaving. Of course, like Palace we're a stepping stone club, like we're a middle table club, and I understand, you know, Gahey and Eze left, but there's a manner in which you do it. You know, I've always thought JP was a nice guy from just how he's perceived in the media and how he presents himself, but I didn't really expect this showcase of emotions and saying he's disappointed with Palace XYZ because wouldn't you suggest that if he has a good run of games, we go far in the Conference League, he scores from now till the end of the season, scores around double figures on all competitions. There's no reason why Deschamps can't pick him.
Yeah. Well, he has been selected playing for France past at Palace. Yeah, it's not like it's gone terribly wrong for him. And that's what I'm saying. He's just causing a fuss out of nothing for this window. And I just don't respect that. I don't respect that with the situation that we're in right now. I simply don't. There's a timing for this. He's not dumb. His agent's not dumb. They're trying to use advantage of what Glasner said, of what's happened with Gahey, and with multiple clubs, well, a couple clubs now being interested in him. But surely, like, you've been at Palace long enough, and you know you've scored goals, you played some significant games, but also fans were behind him when he was struggling. And we still kept buying. The football club didn't move on from him. In fact, they made his loan move a permanent move, and they stuck by him. So all you have to do is put your head down for 5 months or so. You're going to most likely, I think, will go to the World Cup, be part of that France squad, and then you'll get your move, because I don't think Palace want to keep you anyways. So that's what gives me a sour taste in this. And the players that you have mentioned, 100% agree. I don't think we can rely on Uche and Ketia, or even Sarr, let's say.
Starting the night, I don't want to see that.
Exactly. Or even Sarr, let's say. But surely we're not that stupid as a football club to sell Mateta and not bring in someone else. I think we will bring in someone else.
Do you think he'll down tools? If it doesn't go, do you think he'll down tools?
I'm not too sure. I don't know what to expect from him. I really don't, because
I don't see him staying this window. I really don't. You know, I think a club will come in for him because 35 million for Mateta. Mateta's a decent striker. He's not amazing, but yeah, I think a club will come in for him, or they'll just find a suitable plan for both parties. But yeah. I just don't like the fact that he's just throwing his toys out the pram because it's not going his way. You're gonna go in the summer. You're gonna get a good contract, please. But I don't know how it's gonna play out, but.
So pay the money, says AJ. See you later. But do you reckon someone will pay £30 million in this window? 30 to 35 million pound.
I think they'll find a good plan. Like I've seen online, there's reports saying some teams need to qualify in the Champions League specifically, and then they'll have an obligation fee to buy of around 30 million euros or pounds. I can't remember. So if there's a plan to actually get the fee around 30 to 35 million executed, I think a team are going for him because he's a decent striker. You know, in as much as he's in poor form, he's a decent striker.
But I just wonder with the Juventus talk, it seems like they're backed away because Palace wanted more and wanted it right now. We don't want an obligation where loan fee, because a loan doesn't really benefit us. It doesn't. I mean, what's £1.7 million loan fee going to do to Palace? We need if he's leaving, we need to bring in a replacement, so we need money up front. So I don't think those terms worked. But as you mentioned, now what there is to look forward to is Sunday. There are a few people saying, is he going to play Sunday? Is he not? However, I don't know. I genuinely don't know, because this manager just came out and basically didn't directly mention Uche. I don't think. Said a lot of things, but there weren't positive comments towards the bench and Uche. So what happens on Sunday if Mateta down tools or if he doesn't want to play? I really don't know. Is Glasner now going to play Uche? Is he going to start Uche? You can clearly tell by the minutes that Uche's been getting.
The club's a mess, man. The club's a mess. When you break it down, the club's a mess right now. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. But once again, that's why I was pissed off at Glasner, because it's like, come on, like it seemed like you was calling for the sack. And you've done more damage than good, because this whole situation was going to benefit you, and it's caused this chaos within the football club. So yeah, I mean, who would start up front? Maybe Sarr's the only reasonable person that could be an option, but of course, time will tell. Time will tell with Mateta. But yeah, he won't get a lot of game time if he goes to Villa. I don't think we keep each after the summer. I agree as well. So yeah, we are in a wild position after being in such good heights back in the summer, or let's say May 17th, and it seems like we peaked. Well, we peaked before the Everton game. Dinamo Kiev, thankfully, I was there for the peak in the Conference League. After that, we lost against Everton, 19-game streak done, and then the rest is now history. But yeah, there is more news that we're going to get into, but we'll keep you up to date if there's any other updates regarding Jean-Philippe Mateta. According to RMC Sport over in France, there's another, I was going to say update, but it doesn't really feel like it. Sidki Cherif has agreed personal terms, which has been the case, it seems like, for the past week or so. But the club-to-club talks are stalled. Palace blame interference from multiple intermediaries blocking their progress, and that's according to Fabrice Hawkins. Sidki, Cherif. No, so you've mentioned him as a potential replacement. I don't think he will be a replacement. I think we're just shuffling the striker options, especially with Nketiah and Uche, and how they haven't really benefited us up front. But club-to-club talks seem like they've stalled, according to reports. Are you still confident that this gets done?
It probably will get done, but I'm not a massive fan of getting an 18-year-old from Ligue 1. That's just my personal opinion. I think he's a good player, but in regards to what we need, it's just I don't even understand it. In my opinion, I think if we had other senior nines in the squad aren't willing to leave, it would make a lot of sense. But Mateta's gone. He's gone. If it's not this window, it's next window, and I just don't think Cherif is the right suitor unless we get someone else now. And I'm not a massive fan of Larson, so I think it probably will get done because the player's keen to come to the Prem, and Palace are a very good Premier League side in comparison to most League 1 sides. Because I heard that other League 1 sides were in for him as well. So now that he's in a position to go to the Premier League, can potentially change the trajectory of his career. I don't see why he doesn't come. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. But I don't like us just getting these 18, 19-year-olds when we don't have that solid baseline of forwards already that is consistent in the squad. Who's he going to learn from? That's just how I see it.
Yeah. What about him as a potential option ahead of, Uche? I don't think we'll be signing him on a permanent deal. Or Nketiah. Does that change your perception? Would you rather take a gamble on him than Nketiah and Uche?
Young strikers, they're very inconsistent. So I still think there's a play in Nketiah, but he's always injured now. But we can't be taking a gamble on a 19-year-old, respectfully. He's a good player. I've watched his highlights. I've watched talks about him and everything. I think he's a decent player, but if you want an 18 or 19-year-old as your starting striker in the Premier League, then tough luck. Tough luck. The other young player that I see in the Prem that he's around 19, he's French. Krupi for Bournemouth. I think he's a good player, but he doesn't start. He doesn't start every game. He don't start every game. So I don't know what ethos Palace are going with just getting this player and shipping out Mateta without finding a decent striker that scores goals. So
yeah, I just don't think we'll bring in a replacement. Unfortunately, it seems like it doesn't work that way at Palace until the actual player leaves. We've seen that with Eze. Gay, we'll see who comes in, and then also Mateta. I just think if he does get sold, I don't think Cherif is a direct replacement for Mateta. That's my opinion. But yeah, who will be his replacement? It seems that Strand Larson is the name that's been mentioned. Apart from that, is there anyone else? I'm not too sure, but I do agree with you. I wouldn't want him to come in and become a regular star. You're just asking for an awful lot for someone who's still very young.
You've got to be an extraordinary talent to just come in Prem in 19 and just start banging goals, or it's just like you're just a generational talent. You're gonna get if he starts scoring goals from January all the way to summer. By the time the Prem ends, he's probably going to be shipped out. Someone's probably going to be in for him.
Yeah, exactly. And then we start again. We literally start again. That's what it feels like. But right now, especially, there is a lot of talk with players leaving. Thankfully, Wharton and Munoz haven't been mentioned, but I guess in the summer it's going to be massive. But it seems like we've gone into a full rebuild. And in the summer, there's a lot to get done, and I don't know how we're going to get it done. But it gives me the vibes of when Vieira joined the club and we brought in a lot of young players. However, some of those players, as I've mentioned before, Eze and Elise, they had something with them in the championship, whether that's goals or assists. But Eze, of course, didn't join when Vieira joined. But what I'm saying is when you're going for younger players, it seems like the younger profiles that we're targeting now, there isn't as much behind them rather than you're hoping for the potential. Of course, there's talent. It's not all about goals and assists, but
just to highlight that point, that's a good point that you brought up there. But I think us going in the Championship, getting players like, before the season before, he came to us. I know he was on loan at Chelsea from Chelsea, but he was at Swansea the whole season. He was at Swansea the whole season in the Championship. Likewise with Elise, likewise with Eze, likewise with Wharton. Why are we just moving on from that ethos? I think that's brilliant. It worked, and we're going. Look, we've seen players come from different leagues and don't do so well. Young players, that is, the likes of Ahamada, the likes of Frenka, and I feel like the closest thing you can get to the Premier League is the Championship in terms of physicality, knowledge of the game, and knowledge of how English football's played. So, if you consistently buy and you see the success rate and how it works, then why don't we continue doing that? League R, I like the league, but you can't compare the competitiveness to Championship, So I don't know, D-man, but that was a good point. Do you think it's because of Dougie, his departure?
I don't know. I don't know if it was because of Dougie. Maybe it might be like a talent thing as well. I don't know if we just feel like there's good enough talent that's young profiles that fits in the Championship. But like if I'm looking at the Championship right now, the top goal scorer, Viptnik. I don't know how to exactly pronounce his name, from Slovakia. He's 23 years old, 6'1", and he's banging in goals. He's got 15 in 31 appearances so far this season, 1 assist. Now, for me, you have to find the right profiles, yes, but you have to also. I just think we're looking on talent basis. I just look at some of the signings that we've made, and there were young players, but there were players with something behind them. I just want to go back to that approach.
Yeah,
Cambo, I still have hope for him. I know he's made a few mistakes, but he's a young centre back. But when it comes to forwards, Cherif scored 4 goals in 17 appearances. Not the greatest, not the best, but yeah, you're basically asking them to step up. They haven't done it at that level. You're asking them to step up and contribute straight away. With those types of signings, maybe you give them a few more years, but we're kind of saying, all right, come to Palace and contribute straight away. Whereas, you weren't doing that the easier division, let's say, than the Premier League. So you're asking kind of a lot, it seems like, for players, young players to move on.
And even the names that aren't concrete that we're linked to, I'm just so disappointed. Like, of course, it was just rumours, but we were still linked to Gesson. I know it was just rumours. And I'm like, I've been watching him at the AFCON. I was watching him at Aston Villa prior to him going to the AFCON. And he does not look the fit to the Prem. He's struggling.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. And plus, why was
he even in the summer? Like, mate.
Why is he getting mentioned as a potential replacement for Mateta? He's played like 1 game up front for Aston Villa, and all the games that he has played for Aston Villa, he hasn't even done anything.
I saw him at the AFCON. I was just thinking, this is the player that we were linked with.
Yeah, and now apparently, and it's come from David Ornstein. It's not coming from any other person. It's coming from David Ornstein. So when it's Ornstein, that's the person I trust the most.
Yeah, me too.
So clearly there's something behind that, and it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't even suit a Crystal Palace model. Like, I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we actually doing here?
Like, you might be able to play out wide, but we just signed Brendan Johnson, and you got Saar down the right hand side, and maybe down the left you want to bring him, but then you still don't solve the striker position. If you get £10 million for Mateta and Gusand, what are you going to do? Where are you going to find the money? Are they going to finally invest their own money to bring in a striker? It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Really, it doesn't. It's just, it's all a bit confusing right now with that Gusand news. But hopefully that doesn't happen anyways. Another update for outgoing, which we'll mention now. He's returned back from his loan over in Turkey, and that is on Jezren Rak-Sakyi. According to Anthony Joseph from Sky Sports, Crystal Palace are weighing 2 offers for winger Jezren Rak-Sakyi. The 23-year-old has been linked to Celtic and Stoke City, have put bids in after his recall from Çaykur Rizespor. Palace are open to offers, prefer permanent sale or loan with obligation to buy triggers. So yeah, Rak-Sakyi clearly doesn't have a future at Palace. I don't know really how much we can get for him, maybe around £10 million range. I don't think it's going to be anything higher than that, but I won't be surprised if it will be anything lower than that. But yeah, he's not really much to add about him, to be fair, unless you got anything to say about Rak-Sakyi.
You see, the story of Rak-Sakyi just makes me sad, because a lot of people jump to conclusion as to why he's not in the team, this, that, and the third, but I don't even know. There's no concrete evidence that to showcase that why he's not playing, why he didn't have a career at Palace. He fits what Palace was all about. Would you agree? And yeah, him going to a club where giving him limited it's a bit disappointing. But if for him to just better his career, man, I think he should just go to Celtic. You know, he'll suit the league, and because he's a nippy winger, he's got good feet, and he'll score a couple goals. So I think he'll do well there. So, you know, good luck to him in his career.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see what happens with him. But if you can get any kind of money, then I guess that's positive, right? You get something for a player who's come from the academy. Let's go through the comments section. If you do have any questions, put a Q&A dot before it. We'll pin it and answer them. If you put it beforehand, sorry, there's been a lot of comments. I would have missed them. But let's go through the super chat first. Thank you to Looney saying, anyone else heard about Jefferson Lerma to Galatasaray? Also, not only to Galatasaray, I think it's been linked to clubs over in Brazil, but don't 100% quote me on that. I saw it. But yeah, he's been linked to a move away, but it's been very under the radar. I think Turkish media have reported it, but it doesn't surprise me at all, to be fair. I don't know about sir. He's out of contract, I believe, in the summer, or he's going to be out of contract. Let me just double check about that. And also 32 years old. Respectfully, he's very good at set pieces, our best player in the air, no doubt. But I think you can naturally improve from Jefferson Lerma because so I'm not that fast. But we can't sell him in January. No way.
No. I think he's been a good servant to the club, you know. He's had his good moments. But yeah, I think at the very most, if we don't want to sell him, just give him 1 year extension. And that's just my opinion. I think he's a good servant to the club because he's a very diverse player. But yeah, he doesn't really fit our model, if that makes sense. So, but I don't think he should be like any long-term plans with Lerma, man. So, but I do like him as a player, you know, but yeah.
Let's see what happens. But his contract does run out in the summer, so if Palace want a fee once again. Everything's not about a fee, by the way. The club, that's a whole nother discussion. Of course, on Saturday, I was not happy with what Glasner said. And personally, if he doesn't want to be here, similar like Mateta, he can go. But the club decided to not call his bluff because he was clearly calling for a sack and he didn't get sacked. So if he wants to leave, he can leave himself.
Do you know what's going to happen? Like players that were just like Kamada, the likes of Sarr. These players are going to look at the situation now thinking, why do I need to be here? Why do I need to be? The good quality players are going and the Glasner's going as well. So it's a cause of concern, in my opinion. It's a cause of concern, major cause, because Sarr, he's 27, 28. It's not like he's extremely old. You know, he's in a prime time of his career. He can still go to another decent club if he looks at the climate of Palace. So it's going to be an interesting summer.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting summer. But yeah, as I was saying with the Saturday news, Glasner was very upset, and I think there's a sour taste towards him from me anyways. The ownership group has got a lot as well to look at for themselves because it's just been poor. It's been poor from them. And it's not only this window, it's been poor from them for, it seems like a long time, which, paper over cracks, it feels like, but the recruitment hasn't been good enough. Do we keep França? No. I think that's a simple answer from me, but I don't know what you think.
I think France has got quite a few chances to showcase his talent, but he's failed in my opinion. But
yeah, exactly.
He's not even presenting himself in good light. I've heard that he's not performing well. He's getting substituted a lot. I think he got double substituted at one game. I'm not sure.
Dave saying, is Mateta wanting to leave coming from the agent? What's stopping Wharton doing the same? I think what's stopping? I think 100% agent has been working. As I've said a few times now, and it's not only just in this window. What's stopping Wharton is because I think Wharton's got a plan. His agent has come out and spoken on TalkSport. I've listened to Wharton actually speak on The Athletic as well to David Ornstein. It seems like he's got his head screwed on. He doesn't need to cause all this drama. There's always a plan, by the way. Palace is, whether we like or not, a stepping stone, but we have the timelines for this. So Wharton, I don't think he's going to come out right now. I'll be shocked if Wharton does it based on everything I've heard from him. That character, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be happening with Wharton. But Mateta's agent, nothing surprising me because he's been trying.
Just to touch on what you just said, you said you're obviously not annoyed at Glasner, but don't you think he?
No, I'm annoyed at Glasner.
Yeah. Don't you think he knew the template of Palace before he came to the club? Like he knew the boards, or do you think it's just
yeah? But he's self-entitled.
Yeah.
He's self-entitled because that's why I'm annoyed, because this what happened at Wolfsburg and it also happened at Frankfurt as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna buy into him, and it's great because he's causing this division. Now it's become Glasner versus the board. People are saying sack the board, sack Glasner, sack Glasner. I think both of them are at blame. I've said it for a long time. I think Parish has probably hit his ceiling and he will be going after he builds his new stand. But of course, the ownership is to blame. But what Glasner's done is he's put us in this predicament where it's like everyone now feels like they can talk. Everyone feels like they could ask for a move away. And if you're a player coming into the football club, hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, Cherif might join. He's 18, 19 years old. But Fran Larson, you might not want him, but I don't mind him. He might look at other opportunities and say, hold up, Crystal Palace, what is really going on? He seems chaotic. Sometimes you keep it in-house. And what he wanted to do is get the sack. And now he hasn't got the sack. Let's see what he does. If he wants to leave, walk out the door. That's what Steve Parish is saying. In my opinion, I think it's a weak move and should have been sacked. But here he is. But yeah, so Glasner was just protecting himself. Speaking in third person, they need Oliver Glasner. It's just annoying how it's come down to this. I never thought I would ever have these feelings towards Glasner, but it's just his Frankfurt and Wolfsburg days now happening at Palace. And hopefully he's realized that by playing these games, it's kind of ruined his chances as well, because I'm pretty sure other Premier League football clubs wouldn't want a character like that within their football club, especially the top clubs, which have had problems with characters coming out and speaking out against the ownership model. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. Plague Dinosaur, if Oliver Glasner left, would you be confident in Paddy taking over the helm on an interim basis? I'm not really too sure, and honestly, I don't think so. If he was to leave, maybe in a short-term basis, but not till the end of the season, I don't really have much confidence. But what about you, Nasser?
Confidence in terms of where the club's going to with Glasner?
Paddy McCarthy, would you want him to be on an interim basis to the end of the season?
No.
Yeah,
we need someone that's got Prem experience. No, I don't. He manages Ireland as well, right?
Yeah, he's part of the coaching staff.
He's part of the coaching staff as well. Now you need a first team manager or first team coach that's been there, done that, that's got experience. If Glasner leaves, and the likelihood of that, it's not looking likely.
Yeah, it's like, well, we'll see. I think he wants to get.
I don't know how it's going to play out because Glasner wants to leave. He's beefing with the board, and from what I'm reading online, it says that he hasn't had communication this was from a couple of days ago. He hasn't had communication with Parish.
Yeah.
But how is the dynamic of everything going to play out? Because it's looking messy, and the Mateta situation, oh my God, it's making it worse.
And the weird thing is, Matt Hobbs, based on Athletic, he's not. I don't know his exact role, but the word short term was used in Athletic. So I don't know how long his contract is. I don't know what's going on, but you're letting Matt Hobbs deal with the situation. It seems like Steve Parish is pissed off, Glasner pissed off. Like two people fighting with their egos. I don't know. I just genuinely don't know anymore with this football club. I don't know when it's gonna end in terms of this drama. I just want to be focusing on football games and looking ahead to the next game. But right now, it just seems like football is the least of worries. No one's even thinking about Chelsea.
Do you think we can be successful in the Conference League?
Right now, even with Glasner, no, because I just think he's opened his mouth too much. And the second half, I don't know why he's using those subs. Maybe if he puts his head down and wants, gives it his all for the club, then cool. But it just seems like Glasner's giving up himself based on what I've seen. So yeah, unless that changes, then cool. But right now, definitely not. I just don't see it happening. But look, people, we're going to wrap up there. If you have enjoyed it, drop a like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below after the video ends. Actually, before we do, super chat from Michael, really appreciate it. Please pass on the £1 to Lou and congrats on his arrival. Yeah, shout out to Lou on his newborn son. So yeah, I guess he won't be available for a bit. But yeah, his newborn son was being a bit stubborn. But he's probably heard the Palace news and didn't want to come out, but here he is. His newborn son has arrived. So shout out to Lou and his partner as well. But I also appreciate the super chat from Michael. But yeah, that's it from us. And until next time, or probably in a few hours where hell breaks loose again, up the Palace.